Today we are doing something different. I'm going to discuss some Resident Evil Villians and decide if they are pure evil or broken. It seems straightforward, but it involves a lot of digging. This is a Resident Evil species episode though. Let's start with Albert Wesker. Albert Wesker was born around 1960 as a result of a secret project by the Umbrella Corporation, a pharmaceutical company that was secretly developing bioweapons. Wesker was one of the test subjects of Project W, which aimed to create a superior breed of humans with enhanced intelligence and physical abilities. Wesker was raised and educated by Umbrella and became a brilliant virologist and researcher. He also developed a cold and arrogant personality, believing himself to be superior to others. Wesker joined Umbrella's security division and was assigned to infiltrate the Raccoon Police Department's Special Tactics and Rescue Service, or STARS, as the captain of the Alpha Team. His mission was to gather combat data on the effects of the T-virus, a bioweapon that turned humans and animals into zombies and mutants. Wesker betrayed his team and led them into a trap at the Spencer Mansion, where Umbrella had conducted experiments with the T-virus. Wesker planned to fake his death and escape with the data, but he was confronted by his former teammates Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine. Wesker injected himself with a prototype virus that gave him superhuman powers, but also made him more unstable and ruthless. He survived the destruction of the mansion and became a freelance agent, working for various organizations that were interested in Umbrella's research. Wesker's ultimate goal was to create a new world order, where only the strongest and most worthy would survive. He believed that he was the chosen one to lead humanity to a new stage of evolution, and that he had the right to manipulate and destroy anyone who stood in his way. He was obsessed with obtaining the ultimate bioweapon, the Ouroboros virus, which he intended to use to infect the entire planet and create a new race of godlike beings. He also had a personal vendetta against Chris Redfield, who had foiled his plans several times. Wesker met his end in 2009, when he was defeated by Chris and his partner Sheva Alomar in a volcanic crater. Wesker was consumed by the Ouroboros virus and was killed by 2 rocket launchers. So, is Albert Wesker a pure evil villain, or a broken and tragic one? Well, it depends on how you look at it. On one hand, Wesker was a victim of Umbrella's experiments and never had a normal childhood or a sense of morality. He was manipulated and used by his creators and never knew true love or friendship. He was driven by a twisted sense of destiny and a desire to prove his worth and superiority. He was also mentally unstable and suffered from delusions of grandeur and paranoia. On the other hand, Wesker was a cold-blooded and selfish murderer who had no remorse or empathy for his victims. He was a megalomaniac who wanted to play God and reshape the world in his image. He was a traitor who betrayed his allies and colleagues for his own gain. He was a sadist who enjoyed causing pain and suffering to others. He was a monster who wanted to unleash a global apocalypse and wipe out most of humanity. In my opinion, Albert Wesker is a pure evil villain who cannot be redeemed or sympathized with. He was a product of his environment, but he also made his own choices, and he chose to embrace his evil nature and pursue his twisted vision. He was a complex and charismatic character, but also a dangerous and despicable one. He was one of the most memorable and iconic villains in video game history, but also one of the most evil ones. Next one, Osman Saddler. Osman Saddler is the leader of Los Iluminados, a neo-pagan cult and paramilitary organization that operates in an isolated Spanish region. He is a bioweapons research chief who uses the mind-controlling Plaga parasite to manipulate and infect people. He kidnaps Ashley Graham, the daughter of the US president, and plans to use her to spread his influence across the United States and then the entire world. But who is Saddler and what motivates him? What is his backstory and personality? And how does he compare to other villains in the Resident Evil series? Let's dig into his character and see if we can understand him better. Saddler is a descendant of the Ganados, a group of people that were banished from the region by the Salazar family who feared the Plaga parasite. Saddler entered the region in the early 2000s, intent on possessing the Plaga to gain financial and military power. He manipulated Ramon Salazar, the 8th Castellan of the Salazar family, into giving him access to the ancient ruins where the Plaga were sealed. He then revived and modified the Plaga, creating a new subspecies that would obey his commands. He also converted Betoris Mendez, the village chief and priest, and many other villagers to his cult, making them his loyal followers. Saddler's ultimate goal was to create a new world order under his rule, using the Plaga as his weapon. He believed that the Plaga were a divine gift and a holy body, and that he was the speaker for their lord. He also believed that the American way of life was a cliché that only happened in Hollywood movies, and that he would awaken them from their world of clichés. Saddler is shown to be a calm and charismatic leader, rarely losing his composure, even when things don't go his way. He is confident in his abilities and his faith in the Plaga, and he is not afraid to confront his enemies directly. He is also very manipulative and cunning, using his followers as pawns and exploiting their weaknesses. He is ruthless and cruel, willing to kill anyone who stands in his way or betrays him. He is also arrogant and megalomaniacal, believing that he is superior to everyone else and that he has the right to rule the world. Saddler is also very sadistic and enjoys torturing his victims, both physically and mentally. He injects Leon Kennedy, the protagonist of the game, with a Plaga egg and taunts him throughout the game, hoping to break his will and turn him into his slave. He also threatens to kill Ashley several times and even tries to impale her with his tentacle in one scene. He also shows no remorse or empathy for his actions, and he does not care about the lives of his followers or the people he infects. So, is Saddler pure evil or broken? I think the answer is clear. He is pure evil. He has no redeeming qualities, no tragic backstory, no sympathetic motives, and no remorse for his crimes. He is a power-hungry, fanatical, and sociopathic tyrant who wants to enslave and destroy humanity. He is one of the most evil and dangerous villains in the Resident Evil series, and he deserves no sympathy or pity. That's my opinion, but what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with me? Do you like or hate Saddler as a character? Let me know in the comments below. Now for Evelyn. So Evelyn is the main antagonist of Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and also appears in the story DLC of Resident Evil Village Shadows of Rose. She is a genetically modified human, an E-Class bioorganic weapon, codenamed E01, and the first successful E-Class prototype. She was created by a mysterious organization called the Connections, using a sample of mold supplied by Mother Miranda, a cult leader who wanted to use Evelyn as a vessel to revive her daughter Eva. Evelyn has the appearance of a young girl, but she is actually much older than she looks. She was artificially aged to suit her purpose for infiltration. She has the ability to control the minds of people who come in contact with her, using a bioengineered fungus that infects their bodies and brains. She can also create and manipulate the mold, a grotesque substance that spawns horrific creatures. She can also shapeshift, regenerate, and preserve her consciousness after death. Evelyn's backstory is tragic and disturbing. She was born sometime in the early 2000s and was experimented on by the Connections, who treated her as a weapon and not a person. She was neglected, abused, and isolated. Never knowing the love and care of a family, she developed an unhealthy obsession with creating a family of her own, using her mind control powers to manipulate and corrupt people into becoming her parents and siblings. She also became violent and unstable, killing anyone who opposed her or tried to escape her influence. In 2014, Evelyn was transported on a cargo ship called the Annabelle, escorted by two agents, Alan Droney and Mia Winters, who posed as her guardians. However, Evelyn rebelled against them, infecting Alan and then running away into the ship, where she began vomiting mold and infecting the crew. She also contacted Mia telepathically and made her forget her true identity and mission. She made Mia believe that she was her daughter and that they had to escape the ship together. The ship was caught in a storm and crashed near a farm in Louisiana, owned by the Baker family. Evelyn and Mia were found by Jack and Marguerite Baker, who took them in. Evelyn then infected the Bakers with her mold and turned them into her new family. She also infected their son Lucas and their daughter Zoe, who managed to resist her control to some extent. She also created a horde of molded, monstrous creatures that roamed the farm and attacked anyone who trespassed. For 3 years, Evelyn and the Bakers lived in isolation and terror, with Evelyn forcing them to kidnap and torture people for her amusement. She also made them act like a twisted parody of a normal family, making them eat human flesh and organs, and punishing them if they disobeyed her. She also aged rapidly, due to a side effect of her mutation. She became an old and frail woman, who needed a wheelchair to move around. She pretended to be the grandmother of the family, and used her powers to spy on and manipulate the others. In 2017, Evelyn's plan was disrupted by the arrival of Ethan Winters, Mia's husband, who came to the farm looking for his missing wife. He received a message from Mia, who was locked up in the basement by Evelyn, telling him to come and save her. Ethan managed to find and free Mia, but they were soon attacked by Jack, who chased them around the house. Ethan also encountered Marguerite, Lucas, and Zoe, who helped him escape and find a cure for the infection. Evelyn tried to stop Ethan and Mia from leaving, using her hallucinations and mind control to confuse and frighten them. She also revealed her true identity and nature, and claimed that she wanted them to be her parents. She said that she loved them and that they should love her back. She also expressed her hatred and jealousy towards Rose, Ethan, and Mia's daughter, who was born after Mia escaped from the connections. She said that Rose stole their affections and that she wanted to kill her. Ethan and Mia refused to give in to Evelyn's demands and fought their way through the farm, facing the Bakers and the Molded. They also learned more about Evelyn's origin and weakness, and found a special serum that could kill her. They also discovered that the Connections had sent a special forces team, led by Chris Redfield, to capture or eliminate Evelyn. Ethan and Mia had to make a choice, who to use the serum on, and who to leave behind. Depending on the choice, the story had two different endings. If Ethan chose to save Mia, he gave her the serum and left Zoe behind. He and Mia then boarded a boat and tried to escape. However, they were attacked by Evelyn, who took control of the boat and dragged them to the wreck of the Annabelle. There, Mia had to face Evelyn's hallucinations and find Ethan, who was kidnapped by Evelyn. She also found a videotape that showed her true past and how she betrayed and killed Alan. She then confronted Evelyn, who tried to make her forget Ethan and join her family. Mia resisted and managed to free Ethan and give him a vial of Evelyn's tissue that could be used to make more serum. She then told him to go and kill Evelyn and save their daughter. Ethan then made his way to the Baker house, where he found Evelyn's old body. He injected her with the serum, but it was too late. Evelyn had already mutated into a giant mold monster that emerged from the house. Ethan had to fight her, using the help of Chris and his team, who provided him with a special weapon. He finally killed Evelyn and ended her reign of terror. He then reunited with Mia, and they were rescued by Chris and his team. They then left the farm and vowed to start a new life together, with their daughter Rose. If Ethan chose to save Zoe, he gave her the serum and left Mia behind. He and Zoe then boarded a boat and tried to escape. However, they were attacked by Evelyn, who took control of the boat and dragged them to the wreck of the Annabelle. There, Ethan had to face Evelyn's hallucinations and find Mia, who was kidnapped by Evelyn. He also found a videotape that showed Mia's true past and how she betrayed and killed Alan. He then confronted Evelyn, who tried to make him forget Zoe and join her family. Ethan resisted and managed to free Mia and give her a vial of Evelyn's tissue that could be used to make more serum. He then told her to go and save Zoe and kill Evelyn. Mia then made her way to the boat, where she found Zoe, who was dying from the infection. She tried to save her, but it was too late. Zoe died, and Mia was left alone. She then saw Ethan, who was taken away by Evelyn. She then followed him to the Baker house, where she found Evelyn's old body. She injected her with the serum, but it was too late. Evelyn had already mutated into a giant mold monster that emerged from the house. Mia had to fight her, using the help of Chris and his team, who provided her with a special weapon. She finally killed Evelyn and ended her reign of terror. She then reunited with Ethan, and they were rescued by Chris and his team. They then left the farm and vowed to start a new life together, with their daughter Rose. In both endings, Evelyn's consciousness was preserved in the mold, and she continued to haunt Ethan and Mia, especially in their dreams. She also tried to influence Rose, who inherited some of her powers and genes due to being conceived while Mia was infected. She wanted to use Rose as a new vessel and a new way to create a family. She also wanted to get revenge on Mother Miranda, who betrayed her and the Connections and tried to steal Rose from them. She helped Ethan weaken and destroy Mother Miranda by showing him visions of his past and future. She also tried to convince him to join her in the mold and leave Mia and Rose behind. Ethan refused and sacrificed himself to save his family. He then passed on his love and legacy to Rose, who grew up to be a strong and independent woman who worked for Blue Umbrella. Evelyn's fate after that is unknown, but it is implied that she still exists in the mold and that she still wants a family. So, is Evelyn pure evil or just broken? Well, The answer is not so simple. Evelyn is a tragic and complex character who was born as a weapon and never knew the true meaning of love and family. She was manipulated and exploited by the connections, who treated her as a tool and not a person. She was also betrayed and abandoned by Mother Miranda, who used her as a means to an end. She was lonely and desperate, and wanted to fill the void in her heart with a family of her own. She did not understand the consequences of her actions, and how they affected the people she infected and controlled. She also did not know how to express her emotions, and how to cope with her pain and anger. She was a child in a monster's body, who acted on her instincts and impulses. Evelyn also caused a lot of suffering and death, not only to the people she infected and controlled, but also to the innocent victims who crossed her path. She killed Alan, the agent who escorted her, and made Mia forget her husband and daughter. She corrupted the Bakers, who were a normal and happy family, and turned them into murderous and insane monsters. She tortured and mutilated the people they kidnapped, and fed them to the molded. She attacked Ethan and Mia, who came to rescue her, and tried to kill their daughter Rose. She also endangered the lives of Zoe, Chris, and their allies, who tried to stop her and cure the infection. She was a threat to the world and had to be stopped. So Evelyn was both pure evil and broken. Finally, William Birkin. Let me assure you that his story is crazy good and well written. William Birkin was a child prodigy who joined Umbrella at the age of 15 and quickly rose to prominence as one of the leading researchers of the T-virus, along with his friend and rival Albert Wesker. He was also involved in the assassination of his former mentor, James Marcus, and the experimentation on Lisa Trevor, a young girl who was infected with various viruses and parasites for decades. Birkin was married to his colleague Annette, and they had a daughter named Sherry. Birkin's greatest achievement was the discovery of the G-virus, a mutagenic agent that could create powerful bioorganic weapons, or BOWs. However, he also became paranoid and secretive, fearing that Umbrella would steal his research and deny him the recognition he deserved. He decided to betray Umbrella and sell the G-virus to the US military, but his plan was foiled by a team of Umbrella operatives who raided his underground laboratory in Raccoon City. In a desperate attempt to save his life and his work, Birkin injected himself with a sample of the G-virus, transforming into a monstrous creature that killed most of the Umbrella soldiers and caused the T-virus to leak into the sewers, triggering the Raccoon City outbreak. Birkin then pursued the remaining survivors, who had taken the G-virus samples with them, and mutated further with each encounter, becoming more grotesque and less human. Birkin's final confrontation was with his wife Annette and his daughter Sherry, who had been infected by the G-virus through a wound inflicted by her father. Annette tried to stop Birkin from harming Sherry, but was fatally wounded by him. She managed to give Sherry an antidote that suppressed the G-virus in her body and told her to escape with Leon and Claire, the protagonists of the game. Birkin was then destroyed by a self-destruct device that obliterated the laboratory. So what can we say about William Birkin's character? Was he pure evil, or was he a victim of his own circumstances? Birkin was a brilliant scientist who had a genuine passion for his research and a love for his family. He was not inherently evil, but rather driven by curiosity and ambition. He also showed some remorse and regret for his actions, as he tried to protect Sherry from the Umbrella operatives and apologized to Annette before dying. On the other hand, Birkin was also a ruthless and arrogant man who cared little for the ethics and consequences of his experiments. He was willing to kill his mentor, torture a young girl, and betray his employer for his own glory. He also neglected his wife and daughter, and endangered their lives with his recklessness. He was consumed by his obsession with the G-virus, and lost his humanity and sanity in the process. He became a monster, both literally and figuratively. I believe he was an influenced character. He wasn't pure psycho and maniac, but someone who was on the wrong track. He was genius, but that doesn't translate to making better decision. So yeah, that's my verdict. That's all for today's episode of Resident Evil Analysis. Do you want more episodes like this? I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this.